Well, it's interesting that we're talking about a bit of snow around this morning and perhaps take a bit of extra care on the roads, because figures show that both nationally and in Norfolk, the number of people badly hurt or killed on our roads is showing no signs of going down. In Norfolk last year, 39 people were killed, over 400 were seriously injured. The road safety charity Brake, which supports victims, says demand on its services keeps going up. We heard from Lucy Straker from Brake, who joined us live earlier on in the programme. Of the 39 people killed on Norfolk's roads last year, 7 of those were cyclists. Let's talk more about this with Peter Silburn. He's from the Norwich Cycling Campaign Group and joins us now. Peter, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, I've mentioned there that the number of people being killed or seriously injured on our roads doesn't seem to be going down at all, but we know that there have been many more road safety schemes in place in Norfolk in recent years. How safe do you feel when you're out on your bike in Norfolk now?
Well, that's always an interesting question. I think you need to put that into context. Many more people are going to be killed, are going to die early as a result of a sedentary lifestyle. I mean, it's in the tens of thousands now. So that's many more than get killed or seriously injured cycling on our roads. So I know that by cycling regularly, it's good for my physical health. It's exercise in the open air. It's good for my mental health. But I also know that by cycling regularly, it does put me at a slight risk of being killed or seriously injured. So I need to balance that out. And, the source of that danger is drivers. So I take care as a cyclist to minimise the risk to myself. But it's really down to drivers to take care to minimise the risks that they cause. And this was enshrined in the highway code changes a couple of years ago, the hierarchy of responsibility, that those that cause the greatest risk, which is drivers of cars, lorries, buses, etc., bear the highest responsibility. Now, straight off, I have to say, I do not see this as a kind of us and them situation. I drive a car. I'm sure many car drivers ride a bike. It's not about us and them, but it's but it's kind of, as a society, we've allowed this to happen.
That's a good point you make there, Peter. Actually, I'll come in on that, because you're right. It's become quite combative, hasn't it, about cars versus bikes and lorries versus cars and all of this. And I'm looking at the figures, and they're not going down. They've reached a lower level than they once were, but they're not going down any further. What does that tell us? Does it tell us that there are so many different road users that there will always be mistakes, there will always be accidents, and actually you can't get it down any lower? Or are there still tricks that we're missing? What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, this is what I was going to come on to. So, we're in a situation, riding a bicycle is not a dangerous activity. Always bear that in mind. But you are put in danger. And so the danger comes from big, heavy vehicles. And one factor I think has to be borne in mind is that those vehicles have got much heavier, much bigger and much faster over the years. So I think that has to be factored into why we're struggling to get these fatality figures down. So specifically with cycling, what we need is as a society, we need to protect people who are on bicycles. And we know how to do that, because countries where they have a lot more cycling than us, like the Netherlands, you have, on busy roads, you have to be physically protected from the source of the danger. So you need physical protection from cars. It's absolutely crazy that, you're expected to cycle along a 60-mile-an-hour road with cars coming past. Of course it's dangerous. And in quieter residential streets, we need to just reduce the amount of traffic and reduce the speed of traffic, so that you can sort of negotiate with car drivers on those roads. So as I say, there's this kind of culture war thing, unfortunately. That to me isn't the issue. As I say, it's really, as a society, we've allowed this situation to develop where the simple act of riding a bicycle puts you in danger.
We could ask about any sort of specific road in Norfolk, but I know one particular area that you are worried about, in terms of not you personally, but the Norwich Cycling Campaign Group as a group. You're worried about the changes currently being made to the roundabout at the Norfolk and Norwich, aren't you? What's your worries about that?
Well, absolutely. This is a really good example of where we're going in the opposite direction. So this is the Colney Lane roundabout, the entrance to the hospital. Now there's an existing cycle track around the south. Now this is a busy junction. A lot of people, a lot of workers at the hospital cycle. And the plans that are being implemented at the moment remove that cycle route to make space. They're widening the road for cars, and they replaced it with a new route around the north with a Toucan crossing. But that route stops halfway. There's a cyclist dismount sign, and you need to cross a tricky road junction. And then once you're across there, they've built a new path, but it's not a cycle path, it's a footpath. So you're expected to get off your bike and push. Now, when we approached the council before this happened, and we were told that the southern cycle route was going to be retained, and we were assured that the northern cycle route would be a continuous route. So we only got hold of the plans after construction started, and we were shocked to see that not only was there no southern cycle route, but the northern cycle route was severed in the way that I've described. So in effect, there's no cycle route across the junction.
Which is difficult, Peter. I know for potentially difficult for anybody who wants to cycle to work there. Just a final point, if I may. Does this point to the fact that maybe the authorities are not engaging with you as much as you would like? They're not asking the opinions of cyclists who would have to use the cycle lanes before they put the plans in place?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we're stakeholders, and they should consult with us, and we do provide a lot of advice. What we found lately is that they've not been consulting with us, and we're finding schemes that are going out that are poor quality. They have to come back and redesign them, or in a number of cases where we pointed out that they've created a cycle route that's dangerous, and straight away they said, "Oh yes, we acknowledge that. We'll have to start a new scheme to rectify that," which is a bit of a crazy situation. You should be designing schemes in the first place that are high quality and actually do make the streets safe for people cycling.
We'll talk again, Peter. It's always interesting. Peter Silburn from the Norwich Cycling Campaign. As he says there, it's not about cyclists against drivers, because he's a car driver as well. And I think sometimes in these discussions we are a little bit guilty, and people are a bit guilty of talking about drivers and cyclists as two completely separate species when they're not at all. We've asked Norfolk County Council for comment about that Colney Lane roundabout at the Norfolk and Norwich Hospital, but we're yet to hear back from them.